facts. And may I call on Vice Mayor Attorney Harold Respicio to discuss this.
Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat. Thank you so much for coming dito sa aming press con. Ako po si Attorney Harold Respicio, elected Vice Mayor ng Reyna Mercedes Isabela. Ako po ay nagre-representa ng lahat ng Pilipino, lahat ng probinsyano, lahat ng Ilocano, lahat ng Tagaluzon, at lahat ng mga kumukontrang elective official laban sa administrasyon na ito. Dahil hindi totoo ang sinasabi nila na may solid north. Hindi totoo na solid ang mga probinsyano at Ilocano sa kanya. Kasama namin si Javico. Hindi totoo na nakampi nila lahat ng mga nakuupong opisyal sa ating gobyerno dahil nandito ako, pinapakita ko yan. Kaya ako lumapit dito dahil walang kwenta yung final na unang impeachment complaint. Nakakaunti. Diskarte nila yun para wala nang maayos na umandar na impeachment complaint. Kaya nung nakita ko na yung mga may track record na successful impeachment, mga successful endorser, number one na political lawyer sa ating bansa at napakakapal na papeles at napakakapal na ebidensya. Sali ako dyan! Dahil gusto namin marami ang grupo namin. Dahil ako ay lone wolf lamang, wala akong kakampi. Lahat kinakalaban ko basta masama, kakalabanin kita.
Kasama ako dyan.
Kaya nandito ako para patunayan na merong totoong nangyaring graft and corruption. Ito po ang discussion namin sa aming complaint. Naniniwala ba tayo, meron pa bang doubt na merong malawak ang nangyari na nakawan dito sa ating bansa? Inamin na nila, hindi ba? At inamin na rin nila, alam na rin natin na ang grupo nila ang nagnakaw. Si Sandy, si Romualdez, at si BBM. Ang problema na lang ngayon ay nagtuturuan sila!
Sino?
Ngayon, kung nasa korte tayo ngayon, ang question na lang ay yung credibility. Ang credibility ba ni Sandy versus yung credibility ni BBM? Ngayon, ano ang credibility ni Sandy? Nalenta niya na lahat yung modus. Yung ang program appropriations, yun ang paraan. Ang pagnanakaw sa budget ng PhilHealth. Nagkasakit si Congressman Jim Paras. Hindi na siya makakakuha ng benefits sa PhilHealth. Yung aking bangko kapag nabankrupt, wala na akong makukuha ng pera dahil kinuha na nila yung pera sa PDIC. Kwento na ni Sandy lahat ng kanilang paraan specific. Nagde-deliver ng mali-maleta sa Malacanang, sa Coles Park, 2 billion. Ayun o, ang daming pera. Bilyon-bilyon sa laki ang dinideliver amongst them. Yun yung isang side ng credibility. Ngayon, tignan natin yung isang side ng credibility. Anong sagot? AI. AI daw. Kung ikaw ang husgado, sino ang paniniwalaan mo? Yung kasama sa conspiracy na tinuturo nila ang bawat isa o yung nagpapalusot na mastermind? Alam mo yan, kapag ikaw ang husgado, convicted yan. Kaya ang tanong lamang, ang simple question lamang, on the ground of graft and corruption, dito sa aming impeachment complaint, maniniwala ka ba kay Sandy? Kapag naniniwala kay Sandy at hindi ka naniniwala sa palusot ni BBM, impeach dapat si BBM dahil ground for impeachment ang graft and corruption.
Dagdag lang ako, no? Hindi lang graft and corruption. Yung pagtanggap ng 2 billion per month SOP or 57 billion na kickbacks, allegedly, na diniliver ni Saldico sa kanya, kay President Marcos Jr., the respondent in our impeachment complaint, yan po ay violation ng Constitution, culpable violation. I'm referring to Article 7, Section 13. Bawal ang conflict of interest. Bawal kumuha ng kickbacks. Bawat tumanggap ng regalo sa mga transaksyon sa gobyerno. Saan ba galing itong 57 billion or 2 billion per month? Sa mga contractor po ito na may transaction sa gobyerno. Yan ang culpable violation of the Constitution of the President aside from Republic Act 3019, anti-graft law. Dalawa po ang kanyang violation dito sa kickback scheme or SOP na sinabi ni Saldico. Yung bribery ay kasama na sa graft and corruption, kasama na rin siya dito sa Article 7, Section 13 of the Constitution?
Just a short alam mo, si Sandy, personal friend ko, at sinabi niya talaga yung mga sinasabi niya kay Marcos. No? In fact, he told me na makatanggalin na siya sa Appropriations Committee dahil hindi siya nakadeliver sa amount na napakalaki na hinihingi nila Marcos Jr. at pamilya niya. So, in other words, mga kababayan, Sandy ko, sinasabi nila, hearsay lang yan kasi wala naman siyang under oath doon sa kanya. Hindi po totoo yan, may jurisprudence na po tayo na yung galing sa Facebook is admissible in evidence. Pangalawa, kasama siya sa isang conspiracy. The conspiracy to commit crimes of plundering. So, kapag paniwala, napapaniwala ang sinasabi ni Sandy ko. So yun po, kaya dito sa complaint namin, in-emphasize namin yung mga ebidensya against Marcos sa mga diniliver na pera. Pero hanggang ngayon, ang Senate Blue Ribbon Committee, kaya nga po nagpahit kami ng impeachment. Dahil ang tingin namin si Lacson, masyadong pabor sa kanila. Hindi niya pinatawag si Bersamin. Hindi niya pinatawag si Amina. Tingnan mo si Amina, katuwang pa ni Mike, defensor sa kasal. Dapat yun, isasalang yun. Kasi sinasabi ni Sandy ko, nung nagpa-insert si Marcos ng 100 billion pesos, tumawag sa kanya si Amina, pangalaman. Tapos, i-clear niya na, kung gusto mo i-clear, si Adrian Bersamin. Pero, hindi ito tinawag ni Lacson. So, kaya, our only recourse is this impeachment para isigaw namin sa taong bayan na ito po yung katotohanan. Dito, formal na namin hinain dito sa Kongreso.
I'd like to formally announce also, kasi dito po, no, nandito na sa articles namin, pero Sandy ko mention 25 billion pesos na siya ang nagdala. Pagkatapos nagkaroon ng investigasyon kailangan sa Blue Ribbon Committee, in-establish ang tamarin na drop-off point. Ang sabi ni Sandy ko, nag-deliver ako ng 800 million kay Jojo Cadiz at one time at 200 million kay Yusek Jojo Cadiz sa tamarin para dalhin kay Pangulong Bongbong Marcos. Kagabi ho, nagpagbigay ng mensahe si Congressman Saldico. Ang sabi ni Congressman Saldico, kung papayagan ako doon sa ifinal ninyong impeachment to become a state witness, kahit na sa Zoom, kasi ginagawa naman po natin yan under suspended rules, ay tatayo siya na witness dito sa grupo na nag-file ng impeachment case. So, salamat po. Ngayon, dadalhin ko naman yung topic on the economic sabotage. So, yung graft and corruption, tapos na po tayo. Economic sabotage doon po sa sugar and energy to be discussed by Congressman G. Paras.
Before I go to that, meron po muna akong may nagkaligtaan. Yung sinasabi nila, si Vice President gumasto, nilustay yung pera na 125 million galing sa pondo ng confidential funds. Pero magkakaroon kaya nagpagastos si Vice President kung hindi ibinigay ni Marcos yung pera galing sa contingent fund. So, isa sa mga tinataker namin na culpable violation of the Constitution is the violation of Marcos for releasing from his contingent fund 125 million plus 70 million for other expenses, pero yung 125 for confidential fund. Sinasabi ng mga experts, including former Senate President Dillon, that is unconstitutional. You can refer to the interview of Dillon and ito. And sino ito sa ABS? Yan naman. Karen Kabila. Sinasabi ni Trilon, what Marcos did was unconstitutional kasi naglipat siya ng item, ng pera from the contingent to confidential fund. Di wala namang item in the general appropriation. Bawal po lang mag-comment according to the Constitution. It's a violation of law to transfer fund when there is no item. You cannot open unless savings. Uncontingent fund is not savings. Only savings can be used by the President. So, Marcos has violated. Bago nyo sampahan si Sara, si Marcos muna ang sinampa namin. Kasi siya ang source ng pera na ginastos ni Sara Duterte. Second, graft and corruption. Matindi itong graft and corruption ni Marcos. Ito mismo, it was heard in Congress, si Undersecretary Pangiliban was caught saying that it was Marcos who ordered the importation of 440,000 tons of sugar without a sugar order. Sabi niya, let's do it ourselves. Inamin po ito ni Pangiliban. Kung tinanong siya ni Risa, dinidiktik siya ni Risa Ontiveros, ni Pimentel, at ni Tolentino. Nandito po ang conversation nila. Ito po, ang exchanges nila. Sabi ni Pangiliban, ang sabi ni Presidente, let's do it ourselves. Anong ibig sabihin na let's do it ourselves? Sila. Walang sinusunod na regulasyon. Ang regulasyon kasi, bago ka makapag-import, you have a sugar order. Ito, there was no bidding. Hindi, ang matindi nito, pumili lang siya ng 3 sa 30 o 40. Pinili niya yung 3, All Asian Counter Trade, si Iskaler, kaibigan niya yan, yung Sokdem Philippines na binyeso ni Risa na walang pera. At itong Edison Lee, marketing. Bakit pipiliin mo lang yung 3 when there are more qualified? Nakipag-meeting pa si Marcos, mayroon tayong picture na nag-meeting si Marcos with his only 3 trainers in Malacanang. So, this is graft and corruption, mga kababayan, giving undue advantage and warranted benefits to these 3 traders over others who are more qualified. Pinili niya without the benefit of the bidding, at the same time, walang sugar order. Tapos, pag dumating na yung kargamento, saka na lang nila nilalakan yung sugar order after the fact. So he has already committed the crime of graft and corruption. And also betrayal of public trust because he has reneged on his duty under his oath of office that he will execute the laws faithfully. Hindi niya in-execute kasi siya mismo ang gumawa ng violation of law. Ito naman, to favor his campaign crony, nung binigay ni Rason yung share, una-una binenta yung, alam niyo itong malampaya, ang laking pera na kinikita ng gobyerno. Maski 5% lang ang share natin. Kasi 45% is owned by Chevron, 45% is owned by Shell. I should know this because naging chairman ako dyan sa kumpanya niyan, yung PNOCEC. So, mag-i-expire yung service contract 38 ng 2024. Dapat sana, para kumita ang gobyerno, niribid yun. Lahanap ng bagong bidder para mapasok ang pera. Ang ginawa nila, binigay kay Rason yung share. Binigay kay Codina yung Chevron. Pero ngayon, si Rason na lang ang may-ari. Pero ang masama at masakla, bidding, wala lahat, in-extend for another 15 years, mga kababayan, yung kontrata, unilaterally by Marcos. Can you imagine? So, that is giving an unwarranted benefits to Rason, yung kanyang prime company. So, this is graft and corruption in a real sense. Kasi wala namang sinasabi ng karamihan that could have benefited the people kung ang gobyerno na mismo ang nag-take over. Kasi pag expire ng 2024, mayroon tayong right of first refusal over walang bayan. Pero we squander the power of the government at binigay natin sa crony. And that is also cronyism. Lastly, ito po, narinig naman siguro niyo sa mga media, masyadong hot na hot si Toby Janko. Sinasabi niya, nag-meeting kami ni Marcos, ni Romantes, ako. I was so surprised, bakit nakasama ko, dapat silang dalawa. Sinabi daw ni Marcos, Martin, sobra-sobra na ba yung maraming bahay sa Forbes? Sobra-sobra na ba yung maraming Ferrari at mga airplanes? Sobra na ba ang kain mo ng kamyan? Ito sabi niya, kayo ni Salte, go! Sobra na kayo, kinukuha niyo lahat ng pondo. Alam mo, Martin, wala akong natatanggap dyan. Diyan ko atin. Okay. So, presuming na wala siyang nagtatanggap, pero hindi tayo naniwala, November 2024 pa niya sinasabi ito. Alam niya na nangurakot si Martin, nangurakot si Santi. Wala siyang sinasabi. Wala siyang ginawa. Ikaw, Presidente, you have the duty to report to the NBI, to the Department of Justice, i-imbestiga at itatanggal niya ito. Bakit naghintay pa siya doon sa zona niya? Mahiya kayo. Dapat hindi na siya nagsabi mahiya kasi pinadekwat na sana niya si Martin. Pinadekwat na sana niya si Martin at saka si Sandy. So, that is obstruction of justice. He did not report a crime committed when he knew all along that Martin and Sandy were committing a crime. And this is also a betrayal of public trust. He reneged on his duty under the Constitution, yung kanyang oath of office, that he should execute the laws here. He lied the law. Tapos, recently, nagpa-interview siya. Tinanong siya, Sir, ano na bang sitwasyon kay Martin Romualdez? No, I didn't see any basis against Martin Romualdez. Nagsisinungaling na naman siya. Wala daw banding sa isyan. Alam na nga niya. Pinagalitan na nga niya dahil nagnakaw. Tapos na yun sasabihin mo, kasinungalingan. So, that's betrayal of public trust, mga kababayan.
Okay, one of the highlights of the impeachment complaint is also the incident with former President Rodrigo Duterte. And to discuss that is our former General and Lawyer, Attorney Garcia, Virgilio Garcia.
Salamat po. Tapusin ko lang yung sinasabi ko kanina tungkol sa great national security concern yung mental health ng Pangulo. Kasi kailangan tayo makasiguro na matino ang pag-iisip ng ating Pangulo at siya ay gagawa ng tamang desisyon sa panahon ng pangangailangan. That he is going to make the right decision, that he will stay there and decide that our all, sa kabutihan natin lahat. Okay. Yung pangyayari sa na-assign sa akin na i-discuss is yung nangyari sa airport. No? Unang-una, paalam natin sa mga kababayan natin, mga OFW, yung pagka kayo ay nangangailangan ng tulong sa ating gobyerno habang kayo ay nasa ibang bansa, yan po hindi kusang loob, hindi kumbaga parang papugi nila na kayo tinutulungan nila at tatanawin ninyong utang na loob. Yan po ay obligasyon ng ating gobyerno na kayo ay tulungan. At dito po sa pagkakataong ito, the reverse happened. Ano po? Yung nasa labas, tutulungan ka. Papansinin nyo yung mga nakukulong, yung mga pupuputan ng ulo. We make representations with the government because our government must be able to protect our citizens in other countries para yung sila naman ay maproteksyon na natin sa kapangyarihan ng gobyerno kung saan silang bansa nandoon. Okay, so that is the prime duty of government is to serve and protect the people. We will give flesh to this constitutional provision doon sa nangyari noong March 11, 2025? Oh, sa airport. No? So, it doesn't matter, hindi personality driven, kundi ito ay obligasyon ng ating gobyerno na kailangan gampanan. Kaya sinasabi namin, sinasaktan namin ang Pangulo ng Pilipinas, si Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., ng paglabag sa saligang batas, ng pagbigo sa tiwala ng taong bayan, at ang paglabag sa batas. Yan. Noong March 11 ba? March 11, 2025, sa airport, inaresto si Pangulong Duterte. Hindi siya napagbigyan na matulungan ng kanyang abogado. He was denied legal representation. Yung isang abogado nga niya, hinangka pa, inalis doon. Ano? So, it's all in the complaint, yung narration of facts. No? But we all witness this, so I don't have to parang sabihin. Gusto ko lang klaruhin, is ang sinasabi nila, ang basihan nila sa pag-aresto is yung sinasabi nilang ICC warrant of arrest. Okay. Under the law, a foreign judgment is a piece of paper, nothing more than just a piece of paper. It's just a mere scrap of paper. It's nothing. It's worthless unless this is recognized by our local court. Kaya sinasabi, dapat, kung totoo merong warrant of arrest, dapat dinaan muna sa korte. Regional Trial Court po ang mayroong jurisdiction to hear this kind of complaints. Dapat, dinala siya sa korte at doon sa pinaharap para patunayan, unang-una, na yung ICC warrant, assuming that it was issued, it was issued by a competent court. Competent na hindi lang korte, it has to be issued by a competent court, a court that has jurisdiction to issue the warrant. Alright? Ngayon yung ating korte, pagkatapos na pandinig niya, siya yung mag-i-issue ng warrant of arrest. Yung warrant of arrest, korte natin, ang gagamitin ng mga aaresto para siya i-arestuhin dahil yun ang may visa. Hindi yung warrant of arrest ng kahit sino. Alright? We violated all this. Lahat ng batas. So we have an enumeration of the laws violated by them. Una-una, yung Republic Act 7438. Yan yung karapatan ng kung sino mang arestado, detinado, o undergoing custodial at investigation at all times, yun ang sabi ng batas, you must be assisted by counsel. Hindi yung other high crimes. No? So first of all, na-violate niya yun, he was restricted inhumanely, nandito po lahat. Pero kung kopya, bigyan ko kayo mamaya. Violated yung alam po ninyo meron yung ating Bill of Rights yung number 1, hindi yung number 1 just because yun yung una nilang naisip, but because that is the fundamental, most basic right of every Filipino is yung no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. And nor shall anybody be denied the equal protection of law. Kaya po yung number 1, yan yung talagang number 1. Hindi yan yung accident lamang na nailagay na number 1. This was violated. Yung kanyang liberty. Hindi siya nabigyan ng due process. No? Ngayon, bakit sinasabi natin si Presidente ang may kasalanan? Ang lahat ng ito kahit wala siya doon sa airport. Because he is the head of the executive department. And under Article 7, Section 1, he is the head of the executive department and he is the one in charge of making sure that all laws are executed properly. Alright? So, Ngayon, yung ang masaklap dito, ang masaklap dito, hindi yung Pilipino nasa labas na hindi mo tinulungan. Ang masaklap dito, yung Pilipino nasa Pilipinas, pinadala mo sa ibang bansa kahit wala kang obligasyong ipadala yung taong yun sa ibang bansa, pagkatapos iniwanan mo doon without any aid or assistance from the Philippine government that makes matters worse. This, to us, is culpable violation of the Constitution. This, to us, is betrayal of public trust. And the crimes that they committed are all high crimes. Yung punishable by death, yung kidnapping, actually kidnapping ang tinatawag para maunawaan ng lahat. Pero actually, the crime committed is serious illegal detention, which is punishable by reclusion perpetua to death. And that makes it a very high crime, similar to treason, bribery, plunder. Yeah. So, mga malupit po yung mga crimes committed. Ito pa, para kay General Torre. General Torre, you violated Republic Act 7438. Ang penalty po doon, mga baba lang ang multa, 6,000 pesos lang. Pero may imprisonment, not less than 8 years, not more than 10 years. Pero ang pinakamaganda po, mayroong naka-attach na penalty na perpetual absolute disqualification from holding public office. In other words, once you are convicted, wala ka na pong retirement pay. Salamat po.
Thank you, General Garcia. Kong G, would you like to add? Sige, Atty. Manny.
Ang matindi doon is lahat itong gumagalaw. Gilbert, John B. Cremulya, Anyo, Ibo, ministro, lahat sila ni John B. Cremulya, not the planet. So it's a conspiracy to put Duterte under rendition. And the fact is, they have lied. They have lied to the public. Sinasabi ni Marcos, meron na tayong Interpol. Pero wala naman pala, red notice, Kasi daw, the red notice, we are now obligated to the Interpol. Pero he disregarded what he has been saying, that the ICC has no jurisdiction. The ICC has no sovereignty over our country. The ICC has no jurisdiction. So he contradicted that, which he has been pronouncing for so long, by just a mere, we cannot refuse the Interpol. So, tapos hindi naman pala red notice kundi diffusion lang. Wala nga eh. It's not even approved by the head of the Interpol yung ginawa nila. So, all this, malalagot si Marcos Jr. dito sa lahat ng mga kabulastugan na ginagawa niya.
Okay. Teka lang. Walang jurisdiction yung ICC. You know why? Because March 17, 2018, March 17, 2018, nag-withdraw na tayo ng ating membership sa ICC. So yung residual 1 year nila is March 16, 2019. So up to that time, wala nang jurisdiction ang ICC sa atin. We had evidence to prove that the first time the ICC investigators came to the Philippines was in 2022. We had evidence... 23 yata. 23. And we had evidence kung sino ang nagbigay ng suporta sa Visayan. Anyway, it's in the complaint, supported by no less than the Speaker, former Speaker Martin Romualdez, Saldi ko. Yan naman si Saldi. Pwede niyang aminin o hindi. Sa kanya yun. And Sunny Trillanes.
Thank you, General Garcia. Atty. Manny, would you like to add?
under ground number 6 of our impeachment complaint of the people of the Philippines, I'd like to state the respondent Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. culpably violated Section 2, Section 1, and Section 6, Article 3, the Bill of Rights, respectively, of the Constitution, in causing the arrest, detention, and rendition of former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte to the International Criminal Court in The Hague, Netherlands. These are fundamental rights guaranteed to every citizen of the Philippines, regardless of positions. And these were all violated. And if you violate the fundamental rights of Filipinos, you commit the crimes under the revised penal code. These are crimes against the fundamental rights under the revised penal code. The President is the chief implementer of the revised penal code, and yet he masterminded the extrajudicial rendition of former President Duterte. Kaya hindi basta-basta yung sinasabi niya na wala siyang kinalaman. Kasi siya nag-implement ng batas. Hindi ito about politics. He disregarded the right of a Filipino and put in danger and bargain away our national sovereignty. Nasa aming complaint din yan. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So, to summarize, to summarize all the points, yung case na we mentioned, yung case na yung articles that we will file, our renowned lawyer, Attorney Ferdy Topacio, and also to give the closing points on the articles of impeachment. Attorney Ferdy.
Magandang tanghali po mga magulang at mga kapatid. Hindi ko na po uulitin yung mga points. I think my fellow complainants have made everything so clear. Ang nais ko lamang po sabihin, very briefly, ay the common thread that runs through all of these accusations is the policy of the present administration of bend the law. Why am I saying this? Some of this may not be included in the complaint, but in law, sa batas po, previous acts constitute pattern that will prove the allegations being made. Ano yung policy nitong administrasyon na to na bend the law, na napapunta kaya merong appropriated allocations na sinabi na ng Korte Suprema in the 2013 case of Belica na unconstitutional. Ito po, tingnan nyo kung paano binibend the law. Kaya dapat po magiging na to by removing the president. Nakasasabi lang po itong mga kasama ko yung kay Presidente Duterte. Ito pa, kung napansin nyo, even before that, for the first time in legislative history, mayroong committee hearing sa House wherein the Council was physically prevented from advising his client. Ako yun, dun sa Quadcom. Again, for the first time in our country's history, yung rules regarding the appointments and consideration of the JBC, in-ignore. Anong ginawa? Pagka may kaso, di ba, hindi pwedeng consider ng JBC. Anong ginawa? Just for the case of Remulla, Boying Remulla, tinanggal yung rule na automatically docketed just to say na walang kasong docketed against Ombudsman Remulla para ma-appoint siya. Break the law na yun, hindi na bend the law yun. Ano pa? Yung abuse ng administrasyon ng hearsay, nililinlan po ang taong bayan. Ang hearsay po, sabi sa akin ni Ching, babaero daw, si General Garcia. Yun ang hearsay. Pinotektahan ko na nga si Ching. Pumalag pa kayo, ang bihira naman kayo. Pero pag nakita ko mismo na ng bababae si Ching, ayan, binalik ko na kay Ching. Hindi po hearsay yun. Kaya yung sinasabi ng hearsay si Saldico, Hindi po. That is eyewitness testimony. Matibay po yun. Yung sinasabi nilang si Leviste ay dapat i-authenticate yung Cabral files, mali po yun. Mali yung ginagawa ni Tim Lacson. By the mere fact that a person was placed under oath in the BRC hearing, at sinabi niya, nakuha niya yung kay Cabral, siya mismo. That is proper authentication under the law. Pero sasabihin nila hindi. By the mere fact that a member of the family is sinabi out of her own personal knowledge na gumagamit ng droga ang Pangulo, hindi po hearsay yun. Wala pong hearsay doon. Si Gutesa, the mere fact na sinabi niya, nag-deliver siya ng pera kay Martin Romualdez, hindi po hearsay yun. Eyewitness account po yun. Then, dalawa na naman, yung bribery ng mga kapatid na Remulla, inalokay sa bilyon, but inaresto yun. Attempted bribery yun, that is a crime. Ano ginawa nila? Pumunta sila sa media, sinabi nila, oy, may nag-attempt na mag-bribe sa akin, ayaw naman sabihin ko sino. Oh, they were sworn to uphold the laws and faithfully execute the same. Bakit hindi nila sinunod yung batas? Yung restitution na sinasabi nilang dapat mag-restitution. Ito, very tricky to. I hope you will give me 5 minutes, Congressman. Alam niyo kung bakit tumututol po kami sa restitution? Kaya kwento ko po sa inyo. Yun pong restitution, unang-una, wala po yun sa witness protection law. Pangalawa, yung restitution po, very tricky yun kung igagawin mo yung kondisyon for inclusion in witness protection. Bakit? Ako, nagnakaw ko ng 1 bilyon. Sabihin ko sa DOJ, boss, babalik ako ng 400 million. Iyo yung 200. Oh, Maybe 400 million pa ako, witness protection, state witness, wala na akong criminal liability. Absuelto na ako. Ngayon, sinasabi ni Padulyon, pwede daw mag-agree ang DOJ sa restitution kung anong amount. Hindi po pwede. Why? Allowing a person who stole from government to keep part of the loot is a contract that is contrary to public policy and therefore null and void. Hindi po ako nagsabi niya, yan ay nasa civil code. Look it up. Kaya po, in order to recover ill-gotten wealth, yung sinasabi ni Boying na, pagtatawa na naman tayo yan, hindi natin ma-recover, binigyan agad natin ng immunity. Hindi po, mali po si Boying dyan. Meron pong provision for civil forfeiture of ill-gotten wealth. Paano po? Ang Office of the Solicitor General ang magpa-file sa korte. Bakit po sa korte? Sapagkat hindi mo basta pwedeng sabihin, hindi pwedeng sabihin ng DOJ, ang nilakaw mo ay 500 million, 600 million. Kukunin namin. That is deprivation of property without due process of law. Who determines kung magkano nilakaw? Ang korte. Kaya sasabihin nila, mahirap sa korte. Hindi po mahirap. Unang-una, aside from the fact that that is the process provided for by law, kapag civil forfeiture po, there are two presumptions that are in favor of government. Number one, the presumption that all assets over and above the legitimate income of a public official is presumed ill-gotten. Siya magpatunay na hindi ill-gotten. Number two, since it is a civil suit, it is civil in nature. Preponderance of evidence lamang ang kailangan. Hindi proof beyond reasonable doubt. Kahit ma-absuelto yung tao, pwede pa rin kunin. Because it proceeds independently of any criminal action or graft, lumber, conversation, etc. against the erring official. Kaya po sa korte, ang mangyayari pag sinali mo yung restitution sa pagpasok sa witness protection, that is fraught with the danger of graft and corruption. Magkakatawaran yan. Kaya hindi po nilagay yung provision na yan sa witness protection. Kita nyo na. Pagkatapos, dinidefensa nila. Bakit? Gusto nila ang, they want a piece of the action. O, di ba? Kita-kita nyo eh. Kung bakit, binibenta na naman yan. O, doon sa impeachment, benta na naman, kahapon lang. O, can you imagine? Sinabi na sa Section 3, Rule 2 ng Rules on Impeachment, ang Office of the SecGen The SecGen is not the office of the SecGen. The SecGen does not exercise all the powers. The SecGen does not bring the powers of the office of the SecGen with him or her when they go abroad. At fundamental po with any office, any office in government, kapag umaalis yung hepe ni OIC, bakit ayaw tanggapin ni Atty. Momoy? Ay, salong na. Momoy ba? Hindi, Moy, di ba? Haifa? Okay, whatever. Hindi ko nakakuha yung, kasi lumumutla kahapon kaya medyo nanginginig eh. Okay, anyway. Tayo ba nag-file tayo sa hukuman ng kaso, kailangan nandun yung pwes?
No.
Kapag nag-file ba tayo ng appeal sa Office of the President, dapat nandun yung Pangulo sa Malacanang? O, bakit ito? Kapag nag-file ka, kailangan nandun yung Secretary General? Huwag naman, di ba? Ganun siya makapangyarihan. So, ito po ang pattern na gusto namin i-break. You cannot ignore the law. You cannot bend the law. You cannot be violating the Constitution and the laws without facing the consequences. Because as President, lahat po yan, ikaw ang may command responsibility. Sabi nga ni Roosevelt, di ba? Si President Roosevelt, meron siyang nakalagay doon sa kanyang desk, the buck stops here. Kahit ano mangyari, ako yan. O, kung may credit, siya yun. Kung may kasalanan, siya rin yun because he is the head of the executive department. And when he made an oath nung siya nahalal, sinabi niya, he made a solemn oath that it will be his duty to protect the Constitution and faithfully execute all laws. Kaya po meron ito na petition ito because hindi niya ina-execute ang law, ina-execute niya ang lahat ng tao na sumusunod sa batas. He is not only bending the law, he is breaking the law. Salamat po.
Thank you so much, Attorney Topacio. We now open the floor to questions from our friends in the media. Kung may katanungan. Yes, please. Hi.
Since yesterday, yung impeachment complaint.
Thank you.
And then Santos from 925. Since we natanggap kahapon yung file na impeachment, ano po yung inyong next move? Are you going to file it on early Monday morning since may 10 days naman po ang speaker to refer it sa plenary at hindi pa naman na-initiate yung first and second impeachment complaint? If not, kayo po ba ay may iba pang legal moves? Action po kami ngayon sa Korte Suprema. And yung binabanggit niyo po kanina, Saldico is willing to testify or maging testigo dito sa inyong impeachment complaint?
Yes, una sa lahat, after this press conference, uupo kami na mag-uusap kung ano pa yung bagay na gagawin namin. Of course, may mga debates kami on how to address this. But nagkakaisa kami, and this is a warning to the Office of the Secretary General, that we will file against a case against the office. In particular, i-discuss namin. As to the legal moves, again, pag-uusapan namin after nitong ating press conference. Number two, in the case of Congressman Saldico, yes, he is willing to be a witness. Kung hindi man siya napayagan sa Blue Ribbon Committee na mag-zoom, and we have done that, alam niyo ho yan, under suspended rules, pinapayagan natin yan. Kung magagawa ito sa impeachment at naniniwala silang dapat malaman ang katotohanan. At siyempre, bigyan din ang pagkakataon ng Presidente na sumagot dito sa mga charges na nandito. Saldico is willing to testify on our behalf doon sa graft and corruption issue at sa lahat na nalalaman niyang bigay ng pera maging yung pag-aayos ng budget hindi ang program allocation.
Regarding the Zoom, if you want a recent precedent na nag-Zoom testimony, I know this because I was there as counsel for Cassandra Leong. Noon po may dalawang witnesses, si Rizal Tivero sa Senado. They were allowed to testify via Zoom. Yung isa na sa Thailand, yung isa na sa China. So, wag nilang sabihin hindi pwede kasi ginagawa nila pagka gusto nila.
Meron po kaming pakiusap. Bantayan po natin itong filing na ito dahil pansinin ninyo, yung kauna-unahang verified impeachment complaint na na-file, walang attachment. Ilang pages ba yan? 15 o 4? 4 pages. 4 pages, talagang final lang. Ang intention noon is para makapag-bar ng 1 year. Ay nauna yun. Yung second verified impeachment complaint, may mga attachments. That's good. Pero nakita nila kung gaano karami yung aming attachments, pati yung akala ko mali eh. Yung sinatas. Ang daming USB. So, we have all the documents, we have evidence, and I am sure, almost sure, gagawa sila ng paraan to defeat our complaint. Ang gagawin nila sa Monday is bibilisan nila kasi nasa office na ng ano eh, ng speaker yung first. Nasa unahan na, no? But I'm saying this para ma-preempt. No, really. Nasa office na ng speaker. See? So, nauna na sila. Anong gagawin nila? Ikakalendar na nila doon sa order of business. So, nauna na sa calendar. Yung sa amin, yahabol ka lamang. Pag yun na i-refer sa Committee on Justice, then it is initiated. Alright? Ano ba yung sabihin ng initiated? Kasi one impeachment complaint, initiated lamang. Initiation means the act of filing followed by an action. And the action is, the action referred to here is the referral to the Committee on Justice. Alright? In fairness, kung gusto nila talagang bigyan ng pagkakataon ng Pangulo na managot, na liwanagin sa taong bayan na siya ay walang kasalanan, dapat bigyan nila ng pagkakataon ang aming impeachment complaint. It should not be shut down.
Sir, yung Quezaldi ko ba ay voluntary na willing siya mag-testify or did you convince him? Sir, yung pong kay Zaldi ko, was he voluntarily offered being the state witness o kayo po ay nag-convince sa kanya mag-state?
Nung malaman ni Sandy ko na mag-file ng impeachment complaint at lalo malaman niya na pinlock, he is willing to testify to enhance the impeachment complaint we have filed. Ang sabi niya, nung nasa Senate, ay gusto na niya sa Blue Ribbon Committee. Hindi siya pinayagan. Inaasahan niya at inaasahan namin na dito sa impeachment complaint ay papayagan siya mag-testify.
I just want to add, sinasabi ni Ferdy, ang nasahol nito yung si Bernardo. Kasi hindi lang 20 billion ang kinita niya, kilala ko yung asko na yan. Hindi lang 20 billion, pero mukhang nagkasundo na sila ng DOJ na 1 billion lang ibabalik. Kaya na tama yung sinasabi that it should be the court who shall decide magkano talaga ang ibabalik. Kasi magdududa tayo na nagkaayusan na ang DOJ at ang PSDO. Okay?
Mike,
Yeah, go ahead.
can you give us details on your communications with Saldico? Did he call you? Did you call him? What was the purpose of the call?
At the proper time, I will divulge. Pero ang primary sa akin is that he is willing to testify before the committee when asked. Kasi very critical yung kanya eh. As pointed out by Attorney Topacio and all the lawyers here, personal knowledge yung kanya. Nag-deliver siya nung sa 25 billion, nag-deliver siya sa Tamarin ng 800 and 200 million. Iba pa yung kay Yusek Bernardo at yung mga deliveries ng pera. So, at the proper time, magsasalita ko dyan, I will divulge it. Of course, alam kong critical na malaman sino ba lumapit, sino ba nagsalita, at ano yung kanyang interest to present. But what is important here, I think more importantly, is that Saldico is very critical. Sabi nga ni Harold, isang sindikato to na may nagsalita na nagtuturo. Importante malaman natin ang katotohanan dito. Kung walang alam si Presidente, sinasabi niya hindi siya tumatanggap, tingnan natin, paliwanag niya. Pero Saldico is very clear about it and very direct on the bribery at yung pagbibigay niya ng delivery ng pera kay Pangulong Bongbong Marcos.
Clarification lang. Saan siya magte-testify? Blue Ribbon? Or sa impeachment sa House Committee on
Sa
Justice?
impeachment complaint na. Once inalaw nila to and we are given a chance to consolidate and to have the witnesses, Saldico will be one of our major witness.
At ko lang bakit si Saldico is the best witness sa kickbacks issue ng aming complaint. He is a co-conspirator. And under the rules of evidence, a co-conspirator can be presented as a witness. Kaya hindi nila pwedeng sabihin walang alam si Saldico. Siya ang may alam. And besides, he's the former chair of the Appropriations Committee of the House of Representatives. Klaro yan.
Sir, wala ko kayong nandun, sir.
Saan muna? Dito. Okay, go ahead.
Follow up lang po dun sa pag-testify or willingness to testify ni Zaldico dun sa impeachment complaint po ninyo. So, kasi yesterday you did not leave a copy with the Office of the House Secretary General. Are you planning to return? Paano po siya mag-testify doon sa impeachment complaint kung wala pa pong nakakain?
Nakalagay dito sa impeach, kung itanggapin.
Eh, kasi yesterday, sir, di ba?
Unang-una, hindi tayo nag-iwan. Una sa lahat, ang nag-iwan, nag-iwan ka? Oh, anyway, ang point kasi kahapon, parang nung nag-iwan, tumawag ko kay mga bayan na, sa isang kasama nila. Sabi ko, anong nangyari? Sabi nila, in fact, one congressman who is part of us, or part of the impeachment complaint, called us up. Sabi niya, hindi tinanggap yung kay Makabayan Labs ko. Ha? Hindi tinanggap? Posible ba? Sabi niya, hindi ko alam eh. Pero nag-usap sila sa loob. So tinawagan ko si Congress, anyway, tinawagan ako doon. Sabi niya, hindi tinanggap, and nandun kami sa loob. Sabi ko, ano, pwede ba? Sabi niya, nagtataka na nga rin kami. So, nung kami na yung pababa, sabi niya, sige, pag tinanggap yung impeachment ninyo, susunod kami. Sabi ko, anong ginawa ninyo? Nag-iwan kami. Sabi nila sa amin, anong gagawin ninyo? Sabi ko, kung mag-iiwan kami, walang saysay dahil pakipasura lang nila. No one wants to sign, no one wants to recognize. Although, magaling naman yung mga ugad natin, we took video, we took photos to show that we were there. In fact, si Atty. Manning, nilalapak yung mga papel namin, pati evidences, yung evidence, sabi ko, Atty. Manning, ba't mo ginagawa yan? Paano kung hindi tanggapin? Which nangyari nga, hindi natin tanggap.
We were tendering.
Sa complaint, you mean you're going to refile it before the office?
Pag-usapan namin after nito. What action to take?
Okay.
Kaya ko lang yung ginawa namin as explained by former Congressman Secretary Mike, we tendered the complaint and ilatag namin mga ebidensya pati yung complaint. In the constitutional sense, not physical, legal, we have already submitted a complaint. In the constitutional sense, may constitutional violation si Secretary General Garapin. Kaya whether we left a copy or did not, we already tendered the submission of our complaint. Now the ball is in the hands of Garapin. And we will file charges against her.
Okay. Sir, kasi diba you said Zaldico is willing to testify. Now you don't have a complaint before the Office of the House Secretary General at the moment. So does this mean po doon sa Makabayan complaint po ba siya magte-testify or doon po ba sa first impeachment complaint?
Well, unang-una, Vivian, Mike was saying that on the premise na natanggapin yung complaint namin. Doon siya magte-testify. But, nagkarating sa Committee on Justice. We will make him, kasi nandito yung kanyang narration of facts Salva. He will testify on the fact that we have submitted. Pero kung hindi nila
Ang sabi sa akin nung kausap ko, they will file on Monday. Sabi niya, kayo ba? Sabi ko, parang ako personally, which I mentioned yesterday, parang ayoko. But of course, we will have to discuss. Mag-uusap-usap kami. Yung binanggit ni Congressman Paras, si Saldico kasi is part of the impeachment charge. Nandito siya. And he signified his willingness to be a witness on that particular charge.
In other words, he is willing to corroborate our allegation, if ever. Kung bigyan kami ng chance na mapasok sa Committee on Justice.
Sir, ulit, para malinaw. Zaldico is willing to testify in case your complaint reaches the House Committee on Justice. Now, you did na, your complaint was not received. So technically, wala pang pagtetestifayan si Zaldico at this point. Since sinasabi niya sure na magtetestify si Zaldi, pero hindi pa rin kayo definite na mag-verify nga kayo sa Monday.
Yeah, ang akin lang is that we will discuss it. We will fight. We will not take this sitting down. We will file a case definitely against the Secretary's office. As to the legal course of action, we will have to sit down with the lawyers because there we have iba-ibang pananaw or interpretation on how to address this. So, yun lang yung aming agreement. But hindi, we will not take this sitting down na tapos na. Pinabayaan na namin. No, we will not do that. We feel that more than personal, it's our responsibility to the Filipino people to put these charges in play and for the President to answer and to respond doon sa charges namin.
Okay, sir. Para lang walang magkamali. Okay. Sure nakakasuhan niyo po si Secgen Chelo Igarofil for violation of the Constitution. Kung ano po ang ipafile niyo before the Supreme Court, pag-uusapan na lang. Okay. With regards to the impeachment complaint against President Bongbong Marcos, pag-uusapan niyo if you will refile or quits, kakalimutan niyo na.
No, there is an alternative kasi it's either we will fight or not, they cannot fight it anymore.
Saan po yung tanong sa likod? Kanina? Yes, go ahead.
Ako, if I may ask, kung nabasa niyo na po ba yung unang final na impeachment complaint by Andre De Jesus?
Personally, nakita ko lang yung 4 pages. I don't know if yun na yun. Sa mga kasama, I'm not sure. Nabasa nyo na lahat?
Or
Nabasa nyo ba yung iba?
or news articles maybe?
Narinig ko yung Jesus na slang magsalita. Narinig ko lahat na sinasabi niya. It's more of mother-road statement lahat yung sinasabi.
Yes.
Walang details, walang ebidensya, walang lang.
But if I may state lang, sir, kasi everything that you've said are also the same grounds po na nilatan ni Attorney Andre De Jesus. If I may just state lang po kung ano yung nilatan niya. Articles, yung sa mga grounds po niya, nilagay po niya doon, culpable violation of the Constitution, betrayal of public trust, at graft and corruption. Particularly, sinabi po niya doon yung pagpapahintulot or isinuko ni PBBM si FPRRD sa ICC nung inaresto po siya. Kami po ang i-veto yung unprogrammed appropriations. Nakasaad din po doon na nag-commit daw po ng graft and corruption si PBBM dahil sa pagbenepisyo ng kickbacks mula doon sa ghost flood control projects. And sinabi rin po doon yung unfit to serve po bilang Pangulo. Ito si PBBM dahil sa umuloy drug addiction ito, which you also mentioned po kanina. And ang additional nga po doon sa sinabi doon sa articles po ni Attorney Andre is binuo pa nga ni PBBM yung Independent Commission for Infrastructure dahil umano para protektahan yung kanyang mga kaalyado. So, just to sum up po, basically what we heard this afternoon was also like the same grounds for impeachment po. Inailatag ni Attorney Andre De Jesus. So, if I may ask, kasi I heard yesterday you call it a weak impeachment complaint and you fear na ito po yung may initiate sa Committee on Justice. But it's also the same articles of impeachment po na nilalatan po ninyo ngayon. Your comment po, Attorney.
Yes.
Comment.
Number one, nung nagsalita ako nung una, I did not immediately discount the Attorney De Jesus impeachment complaint. In fact, what I said was, kung papasok yung kay Attorney De Jesus, papasok ang makabayan block impeachment, papasok yung aming impeachment, it will be good. And we can consolidate the impeachment complaints in the Justice Committee hearing. Nung binara kami at hindi pinapasok yung makabayan block at hindi pumasok yung aming complaint, alam ko na moro-moro ang gagawin. Kasi dalawa ang consideration sa Committee on Justice. There is form and there is substance. So pwedeng pumasok siya sa form as motherhood statement saying all this, all that, but without substance, without evidence, without proof to show yung assertion mo, then it will also be dismissed by the Committee on Justice. So very, very critical sa akin yung action na ginawa ng Secretary General's Office. And I'm saying now, because of that action, in totality, hindi lang ang Speaker of the House, kundi ang Presidente mismo involved sa pag-block ng impeachment complaint na ito. Ayaw nilang pakinggan at ayaw nilang sagutin yung hinaing ng taong bayan. Lahat tayo dito, involved sa graft and corruption, lahat galit. Anong sabi nila survey? 68% want the impeachment complaint. Lahat gustong malaman ano ba ang ginawa ninyo. Sino ba ang accountable dito? Why did you block us all of a sudden? For a ministerial process, procedure. Pumunta ka ngayon kahit anong opisina dyan sa City Hall, katapat natin. Magbigay ka ng sulat, i-receive ng mga opisina ng konsihan. Pumunta ka sa Mayor's Office, i-receive ng Mayor's Office. Dito, binabaan kami. Attorney Salonga, Executive Director. Sabi ko, can you receive? I cannot. Can anyone receive? Kahit ministerial yung tao yung nasa harapan, they cannot. It is not only that they are not authorized, but they are rejecting our submission. Walang gustong tumanggap. So I'm saying now, that is a scam. The De Jesus impeachment complaint is a scam. It does not only involve the Secretary General's office, it involves the leadership of the House and the President himself. Thank you.
Just want to add, the proper term in law is implicate. It implicates the highest official of the land, the Speaker of the House, the Secretary General, and their cohorts or co-conspirators. This is the first time that this happened. Nung Bautista impeachment, hindi kami blinak. In-accept ang aming impeachment complaint.
Wala rin yung second nun.
Walang second nun. Ang deputy ang nag-accept ng aming impeachment. Kaya may president sa House. Kaya ang ginawa nila sa amin ay paglagpastangan sa konstitusyon. At yon ang magiging mitya ng kanilang additional na pananagutan. I would like to congratulate our people for siding with us. That 68% accent ng tao sa survey ng Tangiere ay indication na gusto ng karamihan ng Pilipino ng katotohanan. Gusto nila malaman ng katotohanan. Please don't block, Mr. President, the impeachment proceedings para maklear ho kayo. Otherwise, magiging mancha po yan sa inyong administrasyon at baka makasagot kayo sa ibang paraan. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
Sir, just in case po na, okay, nakalusot yung inyong pong impeachment complaint sa Justice Committee, pero hindi nila tanggapin si Zaldico as your state witness, meron pa ba kayo ibang personalities na pwedeng ipanlaman as a state witness kay Zaldico?
As it is, when we file the impeachment, yung evidence namin can stand. Yun na yun. Kung ano yung final namin, the evidence stands. Kung meron pang, at sigurado kung marami pang lalabas, of course, it can happen. If you recall in the impeachment proceedings of, well, at the time, kay Erap Estrada, there were additional witnesses who came out. Pero dito, it will stand, even in the House Committee on Justice hearings. May ebidensya na kami at may mga lalabas pa na maaaring mag-testify doon sa mga sinasabi namin dito.
Ano ba yan, sir? Politiko rin? Politiko po ba yan? O na mga officials, na dating officials?
Ayoko na mag-dwell dun sa hulaan. Basta sa akin, ang sinabi ko lang is in particular, kasi sa Zaldico, ang main na lumalabas diba, on the graft and corruption, that he is willing to be a witness for us. As to the others, andito na ho yung aming ebidensya at kung may karagdagang pahanda po kami.
Mayroon pa nga kami papatawag na isang senador na kakampi na nila, pero nung nagpatawag siya ng hearing, galit na galit siya sa smuggling ng sugar, galit na galit siya kay Marcos.
Okay.
So, hindi ko lang sasabihin ko si
Senador ngayon, sir, hindi the former.
Basically, the reason why this honorable gentleman, that's diba, nag-decide sila na mag-file, tapos sumama kami, is because yung mga tao kusang loob na nag-volunteer na magbigay ng mga ebidensya. So, that itself, ang nagsasabi na marami talagang gustong tumulong para malaman ang katotohanan na nangyayari sa Nakawas Pagdambayan. Yun lang po.
Okay po. First of all, again, we would like to thank everyone sa kanila pong pagdalo dito.